My Lord, before court today is Mr. Mark McKenzie, who is charged with the offense of assault of his wife, Mrs. Stacy Ann McKenzie. The prosecution is represented by Crown Counsel Daniel Johnson. Stacy Ann McKenzie. The defendant is represented by Defense Counsel Julian Redwood Johnson. Please rise for Judge Johnson. Court is now in session. You may be seated.
Welcome to the Vegas Courthouse. Good to see everybody who is here today. Counsel, what do we have on the record now? Let's get into it because I do not have a lot of time. Let me just remind you all that I wish for proper procedure in this courthouse. Let me hear what's on the record, Counsel.
My Lord, the prosecution wishes to raise objections to bail being granted to the defendant under Section 3 of the Bail Act. In particular, the prosecution considered that if released on bail, there are substantial grounds for believing that the defendant will either fail to surrender to custody or commit further offenses while on bail, and I shall deal with each of these grounds in turn. Beginning with the risk that the defendant will fail to surrender to custody. The evidence against the defendant is that it's likely that conviction will occur. The defendant has previously been reported by the plaintiff for actions of assault against her. The defendant is accused of having committed sexual assault and marital rape against his wife. If convicted, it is likely that the defendant will receive a custodial sentence. The prosecution rests.
So is why so many things against this young man. I'm gonna require to hear from your client a little later on. Counsel, what's happening with your client now?
My Lord, if it pleases the court, my client here, Mr. Mark McKenzie, is being accused of assaulting his wife, marital rape. My client, Mr. Mark McKenzie, my Lord, has pleaded not guilty to these crimes. And I am submitting that bail be granted to Mr. McKenzie unconditionally.
Counsel, is this the first time he's appearing in the court for any such act?
My Lord, Mr. McKenzie has never been charged with any crime. He has never been convicted of any crime. And it's the first he has ever appeared in a courthouse.
Well, I'm going to be requiring to hear from your client in a little while. So, Counsel, you're saying that bail should not be granted. Any kind of condition for the bail you'd suggest?
No, my Lord.
All right, let me hear from your client. Let me hear what's happening. Ms. McKenzie, what's happening? You've brought your husband here. Let me hear what's happening in your relationship. Go ahead and tell me what's happening.
My Lord,
My husband needs to be arrested simply because
I'm not here. Just speak a little louder, please.
I am tired of the abuse, my lord. I am up from 4 in the morning and I am his chef, his personal chef. I cook and I see him off.
You're his wife, right?
I am.
So that's, wouldn't you say that's your responsibility to take care of your husband?
It is.
All right, go ahead.
After I sent him off, my lord, I becomes his personal helper. I am his dishwasher. I am his housekeeper. But Lord, I have to pick up behind this man every day, all day long. Even when he's at work, him leave work for me to do. And then at nights, I'm expected to be his lady of the night without any night off.
Well, from what I'm hearing, you sound like you're talking about the regular marriage. Get to the assault part. I want for you to get to the assault part. When you say the woman of the night, how did your husband assault you?
When I ask for a night off, him let me know plain and simple. Him don't get a day off, so I don't get a night off.
Right.
When I said
God.
no, him said yes.
Wow. It sounds like an interesting house, I tell you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Go and say anything else to say?
The prosecution submits that the defendant has previous reports that have been filed against him. The defendant has previously been reported for prolonged and unprovoked attacks on his wife. She has reported of him assaulting her by punching her in the face. She also reported that she suffered a fractured nose last year.
Wow.
And even though these reports were made, no convictions were made in the court. So the prosecution believes that if he is convicted, because he has received similar reports against him, that this now will aggravate the seriousness of the current offense that is in question. So in these circumstances, the defendant may very well fail to surrender to custody because he would like to avoid a significant risk of imprisonment.
Thank you very much, Counsel. It sounds like it's a man beater we have before us today. Counsel, let me hear what's happening on your side. What's happening where your client is concerned?
My Lord, these allegations that we are hearing today, it's the first we are hearing them. And my client has instructed me, and he's saying that he has never been charged with any offense. We have a witness who is able to testify and who will testify that all of these allegations are fabricated allegations. That's what they are. My Lord, there's a presumption that bail will be granted to anybody who has been arrested. And those presumptions are under our Constitution, or Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedom, my Lord, that the defendant, his liberty is guaranteed. Also, there is a presumption under the Constitution, my Lord, of his innocence until he's proven guilty or until he pleads guilty, which he has not been. And also, my Lord, there is also a guarantee that when my client was arrested, that he should have been taken before a magistrate, my Lord, in the soonest possible time, in reasonable time, and should be released unconditionally if he is not charged. We are here today submitting that bail be granted to my client.
I want to hear from him. Mr. McKenzie, I don't know if you are a man beater. You have been accused of sexual assault and no physical assault to your wife. What's happening? What's happening, man? You look like a nice young man. What's happening? Tell us what's happening, please.
Your Honor, I am here today to plead my innocence.
Speak up, man. You sound like you talk heavier than that when you talk to your wife and when you're throwing some
Your Honor,
beating in her, eh?
I am here today to plead my innocence. I would never lift a finger to hurt my wife. All who knew me around the area and the community know how much I love and appreciate my wife. But it happened that on the night in question, I went out to work the morning. We have a discussion, and I was saying, honey, it has been a long time we haven't been together intimately. And she's saying, don't worry, my husband. If you come home in the night, I'm tired of me asleep. Enjoy yourself. Yes. So that's what I did. And in the morning, I realized I hear police at the gate, and I was like, what police is for? I've been arrested because I raped my wife. So I don't.
So she said to you, what did she say to you? If you come in and you whatever,
she's tired and she fell asleep, go ahead in her sleep.
Enjoy yourself.
Yes, sir.
She said, enjoy yourself.
Enjoy myself.
Quiet. Quiet in the court, man. Why then, Sir McKenzie, do you believe that enjoy yourself? Why you never go into the fridge, go take out a nice bowl of soup and enjoy yourself? Why you never go have a shower and enjoy yourself, or go pump 2 iron in the gym and enjoy yourself? She said you enjoy yourself. Why you believe that the terminology that your wife has said to enjoy yourself meant that you're supposed to harass her in the bed? Why did you take that to mean that?
Based on the conversation that we were having earlier before I went to work, and the pictures that I get during my time at work, I know it was a signal of what we were talking about, sir.
So you're saying that your wife gave you the signal and you read the signal, your wife gave you the signal and you read the signal to mean just that, eh? That's what you're saying, right?
Yes, sir.
Your wife gave you the signal, you read the signal to mean that she was talking, enjoy yourself in a sexual way.
Yes, sir.
All right, good. Thank you. Counsel, if he's not given bail, you have any condition that you'd like to submit? We are at the end of our court session today. Any condition you'd like to submit? Do that quickly, please, Counsel.
My Lord, I would like to submit, if the court does not find that the defendant has met the criteria to be granted unconditional bail, I would like to submit to the court that conditions be placed on Mr. McKenzie while he is on bail. Mr. McKenzie is a hard-working man. Mr. McKenzie is a family man.
He is a hard-working man indeed. His wife is describing him as a real hard-working man. There's no doubt about that.
My Lord, I crave your indulgence. One moment.
A real hard-working man, Mr. McKenzie, you are.
Mr. McKenzie goes to work every single day. Mr. McKenzie is a contractor, and he works hard to take care of his family. Mr. McKenzie is very close to his wife and close to his children. And to have him remanded in custody, my Lord, would really cause some adverse effect in the home, in providing for his family and in bonding with his children. Mr. McKenzie has created community ties. Mr. McKenzie works in the community center as an outreach officer. Mr. McKenzie is also very active in his church, my Lord. And so we submit that the conditions that can be attached to Mr. McKenzie's release on bail, Mr. McKenzie can be under a curfew at the request of the court. Mr. McKenzie may also be asked to submit his passport, his travel documents to the court. Mr. McKenzie can report to the police even once per week to ensure that he presents himself to the court. My Lord, may I also submit that Mr. McKenzie is anxious to clear his name. Very anxious to clear his name. So I doubt if Mr. McKenzie has any plans to abscond and not present himself when he's granted bail.
Thank you, Council. We'll have the consideration when we meet again. Council, any final remarks before I take this adjournment of the court?
The prosecution submits that we still believe that Mr. McKenzie will fail to surrender to custody. We believe that his community ties are insufficient because he frequently works outside of the area, outside of the community. He also does not own any property in the community as he is currently living in his wife's house. And we believe that the defendant, he is likely to commit further offenses as he has a history based on the continued reports that were made by his wife. And we have evidence of a history of violent offending against his wife. Now we understand that the defense is trying to paint the defendant as an upstanding member of his community, but we do have evidence in the form of witness statements from the friends that he usually spends time with at the nightclub located beside the community center.
Interesting.
And they do have evidence in their statements involving violence within the last 2.5 years. And we believe that this defendant, Mr. Mark McKenzie, is painting himself in an unfavorable light. Painting himself in a favorable light to avoid conviction of this offense. And as we see, his wife is most distressed. We would also like to submit that one of the conditions is that the defendant be removed from the home to avoid committing further offenses, as we see that his wife is very distressed. So we believe that the defendant should, if he is granted bail, be allowed to reside with a family member who lives outside of the community.
Thank you very much, Council. Very interesting. Nightclub. I hear that the church man, nightclub. I don't know why so many of these young men who are in the church ending up in my courthouse. I know I hear about nightclub and so on. Anyway, we'll review this until the next court day. Let me just tell you though, Genesis 2, verse 22, it says that the rib which the Lord God taken from the man made into a woman, and he brought her to the man. Mr. McKenzie, let me just tell you before we leave, you are now bone of my bone, the man says, flesh of my flesh. I encourage you as we bring this session to a close, and I will get into the witnesses when we meet again. Bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, she shall be called woman because she was taken out of man. I encourage every other husband and wife. There has to be a unity that we have in our marriages. The marriages have been ordained by God. This whole matter of sexual abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, it should be thrown through the window. And I hereby call upon you and any other person, if we are found guilty, sir, you will be serving a hard time. And believe me, I will ensure if you are found guilty that the time is hard, because our women are to be treated as though they are bones of our bones, flesh of our flesh. We will continue with the hearing next week. I set our next court date. Let me just check my calendar right here. I checked my next court date. We adjourn now until the 20th of November. You'll remain in custody, sir, until the trial. I think I need to hear from some of these witnesses. I'm not sure why it is that I should send you out after hearing about all these things. So you remain in custody until we meet again. I will hear the witnesses. All right? This court is now adjourned.
All rise. Court is now adjourned.